Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today I have a special guest. His name is Jay Crandell. He actually reached out to me on Facebook and said, hey, I think I have a story to tell that would captivate your audience that I feel like would inspire people. And I was like, what is your story? And he's like, well, I had an injury that I had only a 0.57% chance of surviving. And I was like, what was that injury? And he's like, I'll tell you on the show. And here he is today. Thank you for coming on, Jay.
Hi, Harley. Nice to talk to you today. Yeah, 15 years ago, I got shot in the head. Walking down, Gray Street in Richmond. And, 0.57% chance of survival. Had to relearn to read, walk, eat food by mouth, pretty much everything. And really, really lucky to be here. And after my recovery, or I guess most of my recovery, I was kind of inspired to do an autobiography. And in this autobiography, it was kind of depressing in that I thought that humanity was, according to a number of people, like, Thich Nhat Hanh, a Buddhist monk, who's apparently a real smart guy, and a bunch of other experts were saying, like, humanity had probably maybe a century left, and there was a bunch of other things, and so I was just really depressed. And I thought my mom was dying. My best friend living down the street was moving away, and all sorts of other stuff. And it was depressing, real depressing. And
Sure.
And my mom then read it to edit it, and then suffered a heart attack. And I was, I thought, like, oh, geez, like, this threw me real bad. And it was unconnected. She'd taken a medication that she had a reaction to, but I didn't. I thought maybe it was connected at the time or something like that, and that my autobiography, when I first started it, only went back to, like, as far as I could remember. And the stuff that I could remember was the painful, bad stuff. Like, that's the things that stick in your memory. And I wanted to then say, oh, wait, maybe I can take it back a little bit further and dig a little bit deeper and take a look at this a little bit harder. And
Sure.
came back, ended up discovering that I have just been incredibly lucky on so many levels. And went back to as far as I really wanted to take it back as far as I could, see how far I could figure out that luck. And so ended up discovering that we are all actually kind of pretty lucky to be here. In fact, like, we all needed was it Jupiter to be around. Have you ever thanked Jupiter?
No.
That Jupiter is the reason that we're not getting constantly pelted by asteroids, like the ones that wiped out the dinosaurs and created the asteroid belt, and led to the dinosaurs going extinct,
Sure.
And a bunch of other things. And in fact, I've recently, when taking into account things like the the speed limit of light and quantum indeterminacy, have become pretty convinced that that this improbable existence is a simulation.
Interesting. Before we dive into that, tell me more about this incident. What happened?
Sure.
How long was the recovery? What did you learn from this entire situation? I guess you kind of said what you learned towards
Yeah.
just now, but
Yeah,
walk the viewers through, because you said
over.
sure.
I'm not sure if you can make this out, but 15 years ago, just walking down the street on July 4th in Richmond, Virginia, happened to catch a stray bullet in the head, and it almost killed me. 100 days in the hospital, and where I caught, was it fungal infection, pneumonia, C. diff, and a bunch of other things, and all of which led to that 0.5% chance of survival, and was luckily survived, but emerged with a feeding tube, unable to walk, unable to read, and but luckily my parents were pretty much able to drop everything and kind of do the job of raising me a second time. And also I had just been injured. My birthday is on July 28th, and I was still covered by my father's a government employee, and I was still covered by his health insurance, and that was able to foot the bill. And so we didn't go broke, and we're able to afford also the tons of therapy appointments that I had to go to as part of my recovery.
What part of therapy was your least favorite or the hardest for you?
Oh, I was, I guess, a compliant. It was the sort of thing that I accepted without really any complaint. It was not really something that I saw as hard. I guess it was kind of difficult. It was a slow road getting back to functionality, but it was something I'm just overall real glad to have been able to benefit from.
Sure. And as of now, like today, you can eat, you can walk, it looks like you can write. Like, it seems like you've gotten most of the way back, and that's truly a blessing, and maybe that's why you're saying you feel as if you're such a lucky individual in general.
True.
And you also started walking down this path thinking, we all are probably pretty lucky to be alive based off of X and Y factors out
Mhm.
in the galaxy and whatever. But that's interesting. And do you feel like if you wouldn't have gone through that trauma and that injury, you may not have ever thought in those terms?
Oh, definitely. Like that is 100% the reason why what kind of led me down that path, and just trying to think about how lucky we are and stuff. Like and the name of my autobiography, and which is also a podcast, um, is I am a particularly lucky Martian. In that,
So explain what that means, because to someone like me, I'm like, what are you talking about? A lucky Martian? What does that even mean? I'm so lost.
that in my deep dive that I took down into trying to figuring out the origins of life on Earth, um, it really looks like all of life here originated from a meteor that struck, and it probably originated from Mars. And there's a number of really pretty strong things indicating that we're actually all really lucky Martians.
Interesting. Meaning there was life on Mars and then it
Yep,
transferred over to Earth,
yep.
or explain how that might work.
They call it panspermia. The idea of trading asteroids, I guess, to spread life across the galaxy.
Interesting. Like, so you're saying an asteroid hit Mars
Yep,
and there was life on Mars,
and then
and then some of the
it
DNA slash genetic
yep, a
slash.
chunk of it happened to um, crash out or explode or whatever, get thrown out of Mars, and it was at just the right angle to end up colliding here, uh, probably somewhere in what is now Australia.
Hmm, how many years ago?
Oh, is it like 4 point something billion? I think something like
Hmm,
that.
interesting. And you know, thinking through this, do you feel like thinking that life is a simulation and thinking that we're insanely lucky, do you feel like that gives a positive mindset to yourself or a negative? Like, does that motivate you in life, or does it kind of like not? Like, how does that
I
make you feel?
guess it somewhat positive, but also somewhat negative in that I also feel that the simulation has built me to try built like constructed me in a means that has limited my ability to functionally socialize, because it
Mm,
is attempting to prevent itself from becoming aware of itself, or prevent, or if you understand, kind of, that I have just long, pretty much forever, struggled with the ability to, I don't know, functionally socialize.
and that leads you to think that you unable to socialize means
Oh,
you're
that's
unable to
one of the
communicate.
factors. Okay.
Okay, yeah, yeah, and maybe you're thinking if you're unable or you have a harder ability to explain what you feel like is true to people, it might be the universe or the simulation might be glad that you can't communicate it because they don't want the truth to come out. Is that kind of what you're getting at, or?
Exactly. Yeah. That's a conspiracy theory that I'm pondering. There's just I don't know, numerous factors seem to point in that direction. Like, for
Interesting.
example,
So, what do
the
you think the universe? Well, keep going.
for the simulation thing, the factors pointing to that are, let's see, quantum indeterminacy. The idea that
What is that?
with very small, like below, like tiny microscopic objects, the idea that they aren't parent or aren't their position, I guess, isn't revealed until they are observed. So it's not until someone looks at something that it is determined whether a particle is in this position or this position. And so it kind of it is only until it is observed that it is rendered, so to speak. And
So you're saying because us humans, perceive things and see things, that doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly how it is. We might have a perception of reality, but the reality that we're perceiving could be slightly different.
oh
Is
no,
that kind of
I'm
what you're
saying
saying?
it's a that the reality that we are perceiving is a simulation. That's
And how would you prove or disprove this theory? Like, is there a way to
oh,
prove it or disprove it?
there. I really don't know. I don't have any thoughts, as I haven't really thought about that. So it
Sure,
beats me.
understandable. And what do you think the simulation or the universe thinks of us talking right now and you maybe exposing its true nature? Do you think that has
Yeah.
positive or negative
Who
implications?
knows? And who knows whether
Yeah?
the universe actually has thoughts, whether it's,
Mm,
but it certainly has been trying pretty hard to prevent itself from achieving, I guess, self awareness.
say that one more time.
Oh, self awareness, I guess. The
The
universe becoming aware of itself.
Do you think that's what humans are?
Possibly, I don't know. But we still aren't. Well, certainly we're capable of this, but this is something that we're not we're not aware, at least, of the true nature of the universe. But in some level, yes, that is exactly what humans are. So you would think that it would be okay with that occurring, because it's really kind of the true nature of humanity, becoming aware of the aware of itself and perceiving and acting and all that stuff.
Sure. Do you feel like viewing the world as if it's a simulation, do you feel like that sometimes can lead you down the path of thinking that this life doesn't really have any meaning? Or do you know what nihilism is?
Oh yes, definitely, yeah. Um, Not really. No, it's somewhat comforting. I don't know. It's um, uh, possibly. Let's see. I can was not raised with any religion, and kind of was a just kind of fell into. Oh, I wish I could remember the term that I had used for it, but kind of just a belief of what is there, and there's nothing more to the world, and that has really worked for the most part until recently, when I started thinking, oh, maybe maybe this simulation, maybe theory actually has some legs to it.
Interesting. And where have you looked / what sources do you go to figure these kinds of things out?
Oh,
Or who are your role models in this simulation
that's a good
theory
question.
game?
I don't really have any. It's various videos I've seen on YouTube. How many times have you heard that?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I see what you mean. Like, I guess for me, it's like sometimes talking about whether this life is a simulation or not is somewhat like I was saying, it's almost disprovable. Like you can't disprove it. So it's like, sure, I could say it, but there's no way to really prove or disprove it in some sense. So like that's where like my skeptical side comes in. Like, well, I guess it's not even skepticism. It's more just like I am ignorant and I'm just a limited human.
Yeah,
Me trying to make claims about whether the life is a simulation or whether God is listening or, people make different kind of claims about different things. And I'm kind of sitting back here like, I really just don't know very much. And I don't know how people can make these claims. But, I see some people stand firm on different things such as simulation theory or God is truly listening to us right now. Like that. I'm just giving two examples of like when people claim metaphysical claims, or it's like it's outside of our physics that we can study.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of speculation / opinion in some ways, but I can see where you're coming from in some ways.
Like my luck is, I've just been way too lucky. Like I grew up in Fairfax in I guess tidy duplex in Annandale, Fairfax, Virginia, area called Annandale, which at the time would become the wealthiest county in America, and would have great public schools, and as a result, yeah, just perfect parents, and my best friend from kindergarten, Sean, ended up moving down the street in 5th grade and knocked on my door one day. And we've been friends to this day. And it's
That's amazing.
I've had real difficulty finding context, so it's real. I really treasure the ones that I am able to have and to keep. But on lots of levels, it's the luckiness, I guess, is just stacked up. And I think about it, you're pretty damn lucky too. You are an American. Think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. World's first democracy, founded on a gigantic continent of, I guess, easily exploitable resources, filled with easily oppressible natives, to shoo out of the way, and we also got France to help. That they are the reason that we're not British anymore. That they kept the British Navy at from I guess being able to restock or whatever during the revolutionary times.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and we live probably in one of the wealthiest places too, like you're saying.
Yeah.
We have more fat people than starving people. We have an excess amount of food, at least in America. So it's like, I love this line of thinking of we're very lucky creatures. I feel like people who live in America, specifically my age, young people, they don't have that much gratitude. And I'm like, you need to increase the gratitude you have
Yeah,
because,
totally.
you never know when these blessings are going to be ripped away.
Mm-hmm.
Like countries don't last forever, and you never know
That's
when
right. Yeah.
things can change. So it's like I really do like this line of thinking of like we are lucky, and I feel like one form of meditation is like just recognizing what you should be thankful for. Like
Hmm.
if you're stressed or depressed, you can then take a step back and say, wow, I have many things in my life that I'm really thankful for. They could leave at any moment, and if I didn't take a minute to be grateful, I'd really regret
Hmm.
when they do go away. So
Yeah.
I do align with this line of thinking of like, we are quite lucky in a lot of ways, but I'm not
That's
sure if that means it's a simulation or not. But
that's a
yeah,
good idea. That reflection on how lucky you are. Would probably be a good way to end the night before I go to bed.
no,
Because,
yeah,
for a while, I would just lie in bed muttering. Well, this was when I thought the world was ending and all that other stuff. Just lie in bed trying to get to sleep and have these thoughts of the various horrible things that my mom was dying, that all that other stuff going on in my head, and just sit there muttering, "Oh, I hate my life, everything, oh, blah blah blah," and it was rough. It was real rough, but I've kind of tried to take a more positive, more positive outlook, and realize, yeah, just how lucky we are.
man, I like that a lot. That's really good. And what do you feel like? Do you feel like there's some parts of your life that have been unlucky as well, or
Oh,
is it mainly luck?
yeah, plenty. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, starting with the obvious, the getting
Yeah.
shot in the head, but
Mm-hmm.
also my complete inability to functionally socialize. Like the idea of reciprocation, that when somebody talks to you and you have I am the sort of person that I would if there's someone that I wanted to talk to, I would almost never go out and talk to them. So it would be almost entirely that if somebody talks to me, I would almost never then reciprocate. It's the idea that if they talk to you and you have a great time, hey, maybe next time you see them, it's a good idea to talk to them and then
Mm.
to initiate conversation with them. And that has escaped me, or unfortunately, and kind of led to a paucity of relationships. But
Hmm.
it's but the ones I have, I treasure all the much, all the more, I guess.
Sure. I would just say like you're socializing with me and we don't really know each other and we're having a reciprocal convo. I would maybe give yourself a little bit more credit. I feel like you probably do have more capabilities than you
Uh,
might think. There's a lot of people out there who have hardly any thoughts, and it seems like you have enough thoughts that you wrote an entire audiobook. You wrote an entire autobiography. It's like I would say you're able to socialize.
Thank
I'm
you.
reading your letters and I'm reading your the things you wrote and the podcast you created. I'm like you can truly communicate, in my opinion. Maybe like setting yourself and
Thank
saying, "Oh, I can't communicate. I can't blah blah blah."
you.
I feel like you might be limiting yourself, and I
Uh,
really do think you do have an ability to talk. You've been on here for 30 minutes explaining a lot of things, and I've been able to understand, and you've been able to
yeah.
reciprocate. So honestly, I think you. really do have an ability to
Well,
communicate.
thank you. I do appreciate it. But unfortunately, that
Mm.
those things all require the initiation, and that is, I think, where I falter. And also the reciprocation, and I think that that is part of why that makes me think that the universe has built me not to have social contacts and to not to spread the message. I guess that we're in a simulation. That even before my injury, it was difficult to socialize, and now with a terrible memory, it makes it all the more difficult. And memory, in fact, is my disabling condition. My
Mm.
terrible, I call it acquired CRS, and
What's that?
can't remember shit. And
Oh man.
and yeah, and it was yeah, and so I had to go through a whole bunch of tests and get approved, and in fact, I was even I'm even taking an Alzheimer's medication, which has been
Mm.
very helpful, but it's still not a an on-off switch. It wasn't able to fully help. But
Mm.
that is my principal disabling condition, and as such, I kind of keep a thank God for this thing right here. Also, that's another
Mm.
aspect that I am really lucky. They had just come out when I was injured, and
Mm-hmm.
it was they had proposed a was it the medical people proposed like a very expensive medical device thing for journaling and whatever. But luckily, my daughter was like, "Hey, what about this? What is it? It was a Palm Pilot or whatever, a Palm thing." Um,
Mm.
that let's look into that, and ended up getting one, and just worked out a whole lot better. And it turns out that we kind of have all moved into the handheld world.
Sure. Yeah, that is a blessing as well. There's drawbacks to having, you know, constant screens, but there's also a
True.
ton of
Yeah.
pros, the connectivity. But yeah, I see what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying. Yeah, it's interesting. And I guess moving forward, do you have any goals for the next years? What you want to accomplish? Who you want to be on this earth? What you want to be remembered for? I guess these kind of questions.
Interesting. I would like to be remembered for. I'd never thought about that before. Okay, let me flip it around while I think about it. What
Mm.
do you want on your tombstone then?
Are you asking
Yeah.
me? Yeah, let's see. Well, I guess my name and maybe. Yeah, this is a hard question. I don't even know exactly. Maybe just he was a person who tried his best in life and was a anchor in the community, or his family members could trust him, his friends could trust him, people could go to him when needed, and you know they knew they could go to him and he would give sound advice. I don't know, something along
Oh,
those lines.
yeah. Um, yeah, I get, yeah. I'm not even sure what I would want on mine. So that's a great answer. And I gave you a tough one, considering I don't no idea what I would put on mine. Um, but yeah, going forward, I'd kind of like to get my podcast out there, and
Mm,
get the autobiography out there. Um, and maybe get some experts to weigh in on this the simulation idea.
yeah, yeah, it's really good. Like honestly, I could show you the ropes. We could stay in contact, and if you
Sure.
wanted to start like a regular podcast type situation where you give your thoughts, and you know, if you grew a following online, people would definitely comment, and you'd learn a ton, and you form a lot of connections.
Okay.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
it's worked a lot for me. Like we're meeting today. If I wouldn't have ever had this pod, I would have never met you or learned from you. So
Well,
just an
yeah.
idea. We can stay in touch about that
Sure.
because I
Yeah.
really could help you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I could call, or I could, perhaps see if any of them want to appear on your show, and we can run through the I guess I got a timeline maybe, or just the various ideas of I've got been collecting various experts and like simulation theory and the beginning of life, and that to see if whether they agree with my how I've kind of laid out stuff, and also what their thoughts are on the whole matter.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I just had a thought also of, well, consciousness is a strange thing
Oh
where
yeah.
we all can think and abstract and think about things that we might not be able to actually see. And, we're self aware,
Hmm.
but, consciousness can be hard to define and it's somewhat different for everyone. But I'm just somewhat curious if, you know, your consciousness might have been edited in slight ways when you went through this injury, and maybe you're seeing life from a perspective that someone like me just isn't able to grasp because I haven't had that shift in consciousness. Like, maybe you're maybe seeing some, you
Definitely.
know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
from a different,
Through a
maybe you're seeing
different
some
lens,
lights and
a different
exactly. And
lens. Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's
perhaps,
really
yeah.
interesting.
That for sure the crappy memory plays a part in that. That the lens that I'm seeing things through is definitely cracked. That there's at least there's a real I guess I maybe perceive things all right, but the recollection and then reflection and stuff like that, that aspect of it
Mm,
is a little bit more troublesome. Um,
sure.
but yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know what kind of changes or whatever. Um, luckily, don't. Well, yeah, my injury was in the parietal lobe, and
What is that?
it's a part of the brain, and it controls a bunch of functions. But luckily, none of them were in the as far as I guess impulse control or emotions or anything like that. Most frequently, you think for head injuries, it's car crashes, and
Mm,
those are frontal lobes, and those often are then people they have to deal with the impulse control and the anger issues and stuff like that, and that has luckily not been a problem. and but for numerous people who suffer brain injuries, that is.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and that's, I guess, where you recognize that, well, at least your emotions are regulated, and
Oh
at least
yes,
you seem
no,
to be able to perceive things, and all of those things, and maybe a lack of memory gives you insight into life that someone, who, it might give you different
I
insights,
don't think there's a
like,
rosy side to that coin. The proper
yeah,
memory
maybe not.
that it, yeah, in fact, with my lack of memory, can't even say
Mm,
that it prevents me from remembering the bad things, because for some reason those stick.
mm,
Something that painful memory or painful things that occur, those are the ones that I am unable to shake, and end
mm.
up hounding me, and lead to me cursing in the shower at whenever they come up.
Mm. Yeah, it's really tough. And I guess hopefully, maybe in writing down the good memories, or maybe even recording the good memories and going back and listening, or going back and
Yeah,
reading the memories that are, maybe you have a great moment and then you write it down, and it's like then you can go back and remember it better, and
yeah.
all of those things. And it looks like that might be what your autobiography is about, but that will help you remember those good moments
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
totally. It and made me, I guess, reflect more on the positive things, and just how
Yes.
lucky we all are, and it's been a real kind of I don't want to say, yeah, journey. It sounds a little quaint, but yeah, a real and a struggle, trying to find a better spin to take on it.
Sure. Yeah, that's interesting. And what would you say to someone what would you say to your past self? Like, if you could give yourself advice, your younger self, what would you say?
Oh, huh. When somebody talks to you, and you enjoy talking to them, next time you see them, talk to them. I've been really something that I've been just really feeling desperately, not desperate, but very depressed and lonely. And it's um, I think would if only my younger self had done that. Like I have spent like I look back at fifth grade, and wistfully think of all like there were all like not, but there were numerous girls there would come up to me, talk to me. We would have a great interaction, and then it was that one of them would come up to me, we'd talk to me, we'd have a great interaction, and then after I didn't reciprocate, I didn't go up to her and talk to her. Then another one would come up to me and talk to me, and have a we'd have a chat. And then when I would fail to respond, another one, and then eventually they would just give up. And the same thing happened with the eyes too. That I would have, yeah. There were numerous people. Man, I'm just now remembering that. So yeah, it was just a the reciprocation, the idea that if somebody talks to you, and you enjoy talking to them, talk to them next time you see them.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really true, and that advice can still help us all going forward. You know, no matter how old we are, all it takes, in my opinion, I say this a lot.
Mm,
It's like all it takes is a question. You know, you don't know what to say to someone. Oh, I don't know how to
yeah,
start a convo. It's like, well, you could walk up and just say, "How's it going? What's your name? What do you
yes,
do?
and
You know, do you like your job?"
I'm sorry to interrupt. That's
Oh,
that's probably a little bit too specific. I think you should probably try to just look at the look on the sunny side of things. Try to take a positive outlook.
meaning,
Oh, just in general, that just realize how lucky you are. That we're all really, really, really lucky. Really lucky to be here, and be very grateful to have the chance to be here.
definitely. Yeah, that's something people don't think of enough. And then I feel like life or death scenarios, sometimes that's when you're recognizing how lucky we are to be alive, how important are the things we take for granted are, and you know, you going through that, I bet forced you and forces you daily to recognize how lucky you are and how lucky we all are.
Hmm.
And you know, and that's where, you know, I'm sometimes a person who's like, I have this perspective all the time where I'm like, maybe this is the last person I see my friend or my mom or my brother, because you know, we live in in a life where, you know, the end can occur anytime, and that sounds really morbid, but I feel like it also makes you recognize like, I might only have this one chance with them. I might as well say what's on my
Right.
mind. I might as well try my best. I might as well do
Right.
act in a way so I'm not regretting
Yeah.
when if something does happen. And so that's the kind of way I like to live life.
That's a
I've had a
really good. That's a
situation
good
where
way to look at it. I've never really thought about it. Like, what if this is the last chance that I will have to interact with someone? Yeah, good point. So sorry to interrupt.
no, that's good. And yeah, it's like I went through a scenario where I had someone that I was close with. He almost died in front of
Mm.
me, and
Oh
I,
man,
like, ever since that day, like, he turned
what
out
happened?
okay. It was a freak accident. Like, he lost consciousness in front of me, and you know, he had to be
Mm.
resuscitated. It was hard to say exactly what happened, but you know, he's okay now. But it was just like, it was terrifying because I had no idea. I didn't know what to do.
Mm.
But like, ever since that day, I've been like, wow, you know, like I was seeing him, and then the next day he had fallen
Mm.
over, not really breathing
Yeah.
very much, and not responding. And I was just like, "Holy cow! Life can go from great to terrible in a matter of
Yep.
seconds, and you better be grateful, and you better be trying your best, and you better say what's on your mind." It's like, you know, I feel like I've heard it's a cliche thing in movies where it's like, "Oh, I wish I would have said this to X before they died. Oh, I wish I would have done this before they passed." And it's like, yeah, you don't want to be that person. You might as well say what's on your
Mm.
mind, and you know, do what act in a way so you don't
Mm.
regret later. And so like that's just in my mind all the time, and I think that event really just shaped me to do
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
wish
man.
that I did a whole lot more. So that is definitely a real goal. That sort of thing. The carpe diem of life to kind of, because I think for the most part kind of um, coasted on my luckiness. That I've been awfully lucky, but also very unmotivated to try to better my situation and to really take advantage of it. So hopefully I'll be able to who knows? I'm probably well beyond that, but the idea of like I could have gone to a numerous other, like I could have gone to the best high school in the country, but unfortunately my grade school, my GPA wasn't good enough because I didn't try hard enough, and so it's something that I hopefully will be able to rectify.
Nice. Yeah, that's true. You know, I, I've just, this is just kind of a different story, similar meaning of like, the person who created KFC, he didn't even start that till like 60. It's like some people when they're like 30 or 25 or, whatever age, and they're like, oh, my glory days are in the past. Oh, life isn't any better from here. I peaked back in high school. I peaked here. Now it's all downhill. And I'm like, no, that's just not true. Every day is a new adventure, and it is what you make of it. And you never know what beautiful things can occur in your upcoming days, no matter how old you are. It's never too late for you to try something new, to try this business idea, to whatever. I'm just speaking to the audience and to myself. It's just kind of, that's how I like to think about it. The day I peak will be the day that I die, because I want to constantly be improving and growing as a human. And so that's kind of my theory. So yeah, the future looks up for us all, from what I can tell. I like to think optimistically.
I think so too. That hopefully we are, we're probably going to be able to escape self-annihilation, at least. That I guess the electronic vehicles and batteries are hopefully going to be able to wean us off of fossil fuels to the point that we can hopefully, avert our annihilation.
Yeah, I see, as we keep growing in wealth and prosperity, we'll have more funding for scientists, and we'll just keep learning more and more about how to better the world and how to be efficient and etc. So yeah, I guess, do you have any closing words of advice for people listening? I know you already gave some advice about like being reciprocal, but anything else you want to say before we wrap this thing up?
Just be grateful, because you're extraordinarily lucky to be here, and we're all really lucky to be here. This existence of ours is extraordinarily improbable, unfathomably unlikely. I am completely unsurprised that we have yet to encounter aliens. That we're so unlikely, and it's really a blessing that we're here, and I hope that we are able to continue this improbable existence a little bit longer.
That's very well said. Yeah, that's the lesson of the day. Be grateful, because we have a lot to be thankful for. Well, thank you, Jay, for coming on. It really means a lot.
Thank you, Harley. It was nice talking to you.